What's going on, my friend? Coach Grant Eilertson here, and in today's video we will be breaking down a real live sales call that did close so that you can see how certain sales concepts and theories work in practical application. Because it's one thing to talk theory and it's another thing to see actual principles at play and working. Now, this full sales call is something that is available inside of the Influence Mastery sales training system, which is my own sales training process that has been responsible for doubling the average close rate across a variety of different industries. And whether you're a sales rep looking to make more commissions, or you are a owner of a business who is looking for better ways to train their sales team, look no further than the Influence Mastery sales training system. Frankly, the entire cost of the whole system is less than the average commission from one sale if you follow these processes to a T. Without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen and break down this call so that you can make a lot more sales.
All right, so you'll see my notes over to the right here with some of the key points of the call that we're going to take a quick look at. And this whole call is inside of the course area, inside of the real call recording. So you can listen to the full thing. We're just doing spot checks here to show you some of the key points. So the first one is at minute 320. It took me about 3 minutes to go through what I would consider to be an adequate rapport building process. Just found a little bit of common ground. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time on the call going off to Pluto. So here's how get things moving.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. It's funny. I always find it's a pretty small world. So just so that we've got some awareness, I do have calls at the top of each hour, and I want to respect your time. And, I had a quick look over like the form and stuff. And, I'm totally here to prepared to talk with you about ways you could possibly grow your online business. I don't know a whole lot about you yet, though. So I'd love to kind of get to know you and, what it is that you're looking to create first, so I can figure out if there's anything we might be able to do to help.
Sure.
So super simple. There's a lot of different ways you can pre-frame a call. One of my preferred, though, is saying, hey, I'm totally prepared to talk with you about ways that you can achieve the desired outcome. First, I hope you wouldn't mind if I ask you a few questions so that I can get to better know your business, which will allow me to direct this call appropriately. So however you want to put that out there, just make sure you pre-frame your call so that it is collaborative. Now, I'm just going to go right into through this point. It's just intel gathering, basically starting to check off some of those 7 questions. Now, at minute 11, you're going to see me go a little bit off of what you might consider the framework if you've studied the process, because I'm actually giving her some what and why coaching. The reason for this is to help her paint the ideal outcome of making a shift in what she's doing, because she's new and doesn't yet have a clear picture of specifically what she wants. You'll hear some cues if you listen to this full call, but I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. This key, whenever I talk about doing what and why coaching without the how, I'm talking about what things need to look like and why that's important, but I'm never sharing how to actually put that into place. This is absolutely key. If you go into how on your sales calls, it's going to cost you money because you'll create a, oh, sounds good, let me try this out on my own situation.
Majority 40 plus women. So I feel like I'm in a position to create like this movement for women who are, upward of 40, trying to get fit, trying to get back what they felt in their 20s, or just trying to feel healthier, trying to be healthy.
So here's just an example of where she's like, well, I just want to, create this movement. This is an esoteric kind of foofy thing. And it's great that she's feeling that way. But in order to create an effective gap, which is key to being able to bridge with your offer, it's got to be some specifics. So
healthier in this later stage in their life.
Yeah. Okay. This actually helps a lot because, you can structure your business in a few different ways with a larger pool of basically what you could consider group, right? So you have this community, and it's what you would call leverage delivery. You could have 100 people in there, you could have 10 people in there. And if you're running those same 3 group classes a week, it's not like your workload increases
right
as you bring on more people. So it's very scalable. And then on the flip side, if you were to have one-to-one coaching, clearly, in order for it to be worth it, to put in the level of effort that it sounds like you dedicate to your clients, I can tell you really care just from the brief little bit I've gotten to know you so far. You do have to clearly have a bit higher price point so that you're compensated adequately. There's a middle ground too, where you can utilize a group-based program for a few things. For example, like creating monthly recurring revenue, so you have the stability that you mentioned is important to you, while then having the scalability too, so that you can have 10 people joining each month, for example, and the revenue bumps, but your time doesn't increase. And if the recurring revenue covers the business and your living expenses, the stress is off. You don't need one-to-one clients, but that group of people gives you the perfect, what we would call a buyer list, such that if you just make a soft invitation to that group that, for example, you've got 2 spots open for someone that wants to really go deep and work with me intimately over the next 3 months, that then your $1,500, $3,000, $6,000 program sells easily because they've already experienced a couple months with you. They love you. They just want to have more access. So you can structure things a variety of different ways, just to kind of give you an idea or a jumping off point.
Okay.
Do you mind me asking though, like what the big picture vision for this is, as far as?
Okay, so this is an example of what and why coaching. She has this perceived big picture. Hey, it'd be cool to do these things, and so I say, hey, most people think that it's this or it's this. This is a little bit Dr. Freemy, if that makes sense. I'm implanting a new possibility. Hey, most people think it's this or this, but in your situation, it would maybe be appropriate to consider a hybrid. And here's why. But I'm not saying like how you would actually structure this. I don't go into pricing. I don't go into anything like that. Just helping her to get an idea what that looks like. Next point I'm going to look at is minute 19, where I go to clarify her financial goal, because up to this point, she's only said 6 figures, which is super vague. 6 figures could be $8,300 a month. That could also be $83,000 a month.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Just one other clarification,
Sure.
Just because, when someone says like 6 figures, that could be the difference between, $8,300 a month and $8,267 a month, like 82 grand. Like, is there a solid point where once you get there, money kind of becomes irrelevant and it's just more about the impact?
It's more about the impact. I'm a person that doesn't want for a lot, but I want to be comfortable and I want to feel secure that I can take care of my son. I want to not worry about my mortgage. I want to travel when I feel like traveling without having to scrounge up money and save for that. That's kind of my life. I'm not like a shopper or anything like that. I have a great Honda Pilot that I'm not.
So anytime someone voices what they want based on the universal law of polarity, we know that they're actually saying, I don't have this yet. And that's a pain in their life. So she wants to be able to take care of her son. She wants to be able to effortlessly pay her mortgage. She wants to be able to travel, right? She wants those things. That means right now she doesn't have it. So that's a pain point. We don't have to dig super deep into it. This is a common misconception with people that are like, oh, I got to find the pain. I just got to twist the knife really fucking deep. You don't. If you have a properly structured call process, which is how I'm teaching you, this is why it's going to feel a lot better to help people buy with this process rather than twisting the knife and pushing people away and getting them to buy based on fear. We know, again, universal law, if someone is wanting something, they're viewing themselves as separate from it. Polarity. She's currently in pain because these things are not easy for her right now. So I'm not going to twist the knife on it. I'm just going to continually reassociate her with what she wants, knowing that in the back of her mind, she's already connecting the dots saying, I don't have that yet.
Not trying to get rid of. I'm a comfortable person. I want to be comfortable. So if I can have that time, I don't have a number in mind. I say 6 figures, but I don't have a number in mind. So let me ask you, should I have a number in mind? Like something that I should be reaching for?
Do you shoot guns?
So I'm going to give her an example real quick here, kind of a story to help, paint the picture for her without saying, yes, you need a number.
I don't.
Or anything?
Everybody keeps telling me I need to though. Yeah.
I do you? It's just a good example for me. I grew up hunting in Oregon.
Okay.
This is kind of what you do up there. And I like to think, if I were to close my eyes and shoot, what are the chances I hit the target in front of me? Probably not all that much. And the reason I say closing my eyes and shooting is because, we make these conscious choices. Hey, I'm going to dedicate 4 hours a week to social media, or I'm going to, invest in this to develop my skills, yada, yada, yada. We make these small conscious decisions, but then as we're carrying them out and actually doing the actions, the majority of what runs us is the subconscious. We go kind of on autopilot. It's just like when you're driving home on the same path that you have 20 times, you zone out, you're like, oh shit, I'm home. So I personally 100% believe that even if the number changes, it's totally okay to shift your goals. You want to have a milestone that you're working towards, so you know when to reward yourself and you know what is actually going to be in alignment with that path. Because so many people, in this space that I've talked with are like, I want to have a podcast, I want to have a Facebook group, I want to do LinkedIn, maybe a YouTube channel too. Got to make sure I hit Twitter. And at the end of the day, some of our most successful clients are one offer, one platform, and they hardly work more than 10, 15 hours a week because it's just that straight line. So this doesn't need to be your set in stone forever number. But if I've got kind of a rough picture of what would feel stable, what would feel free to be able to travel, for example, I can kind of help you conceptualize how many clients at a price point and what you would need to do to get there.
Okay.
So this is me seeding, hey, if you can tell me this, I'll reward you. Okay, which is why at 26, you're going to see me go through a little bit of the math with what and why coaching to paint the gap clearly. So anytime you're like, hey, if you could help me understand this, then I could do this for you. Make sure you actually deliver on that promise.
So is there anything that comes to mind right now? Is it like double what you're currently bringing in? Is it triple?
Triple.
Okay.
And keep in mind, I've only been doing this full time for a year or more. Actually, I guess more now. So I guess it's hard to gauge even triple. Maybe it's quadruple. And I also still freelance, right? So every now and again,
For health and fitness stuff?
I don't. Strangely enough, it's for the DC bar.
Oh.
Yeah, I work for the Washington Lawyer magazine. And it was when I was struggling before, around the beginnings of COVID, someone that works there offered me some freelance work and I took it and they liked me. So I write for them pretty often. It's actually pretty interesting. I didn't think I would like it, but I do.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're writing about people. You're still writing about people. So
people,
I like talking to people. Yeah. It's not about legal stuff because I couldn't tell you a thing. But it's about people and what they do and what they bring to the industry. So yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do some maths. I have to. I have a camera up here, so I know my eyes go down when I look at my screen. I can't do anything mental math. I'm just gonna wager a guess. Is 10,000 a month a number that would change your situation and feel comfortable?
So I'm just throwing something out there because she hasn't given me an actual tangible number yet, even though I've gone through multiple different questions to try and draw it out of her. So I'm throwing something against the wall based on what I perceive her situation to potentially be like. And she can always correct me if I'm wrong, but she goes with it.
Comfortable, or would you need more as a baseline? Because I want to calculate numbers basically on like the next target, not necessarily 3 years down the road when maybe you're doing 50 grand a month or something like that.
No, 10,000 would change my.
And seeding a future situation. Hey, I want to calculate, based on the next milestone, not a few months down the road, when you're making this much.
Situation today. I mean, I'm just doing some little math here with
and
my big bills.
So 10 as a big number that changes things. Now, as far as baseline living expenses and any other business expenses that are a must, what's that number right now? Is that more in the range of like?
See, I go for the goal and then I go for the standard. Where are things actually at right now? Because she hasn't shared with me exactly her current monthly situation, but she does. You can listen to the call for that. I'm going to move on to minute 26, just in the interest of time.
Enjoy the group model, because it means the fit squad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of working off that, and I'm bumping only just a little bit from like 40 to 50, just so I've got easy round numbers. Then 5 by 100. So that's 10. Now you mentioned some capacity stuff, like as it regards to like the amount of people that you would want to actually have that you're working with one-to-one or like more intimately. How many people do you want to keep it under? Are we talking like 5, 10, 15?
I would say, and we're talking in person, right? Not online.
Oh, no, I mean online.
Oh, online.
Yeah. Because what I want to do is like figure out what is the simple path to you being able to be full-time online to where in person is irrelevant. You can still do it if you love it, but what would it look like for you to be location independent? So it's not just that you have the money to travel whenever, but you don't have to rework clients. You can just pick up and go.
Exactly.
And notice she said, I want to travel. So I'm reassociating with what does it look like for you to be able to travel stress-free? So I'm always implanting and bringing back up that pain of the current situation, but I'm not being like, because you hate not being able to travel, right?
To give you an idea of what it could look like when, and to be clear, you can structure your business, your programs however you want to, but our typical client, when they have one-to-one clients, they'll oftentimes do an hour-long, like one-to-one call each week, going through rewriting their programs, making adjustments, mindset coaching, support. Right? So there's basically an hour there. And then they might take an hour every 2 weeks to actually make tweaks to the program on their own time without meeting with the client.
Gotcha.
So now you've got an hour and a half. And then, presenting, hey, you've got hotline access to me in case anything comes up. You'll have support whenever you need to shoot me a message. And it's smart to account for roughly 15 minutes a day doing that. And if you took weekends off, 15 minutes a day times 5, 75 minutes, so a little over an hour. So basically call it 2 hours a week per client.
2 hours a week per client. Okay.
Just as a rough number. So if you had 10 clients, for example, you're looking at roughly 20 hours-ish per week on fulfillment for those people. Would you want more or less than that?
No, it's not, the number in my head was 10 or less. 10 or less.
Okay. So just to kind of catch you up with where my brain's at right now, these are all hypotheticals, but just to paint a picture of what's possible. And let me quantify this actually. One of our clients crushed the group and one-on-one model as a synergy really well. She got to where she was actually pulling over 50,000.
Planting a testimonial right here, just as a, hey, let me just paint the picture for you of what's possible.
Was in a month from her group-based subscription.
Wow.
And clearing about 90 grand a month when you add in the one-to-one and group-based clients that like pay her more on the back end. So it's definitely not unfathomable to be able to hit pretty large numbers over the course of a few months in a subscription offer.
Okay.
And what I'm looking at for you is, let's just say hypothetically, because the best thing about a recurring revenue model is the stability that you mentioned, right? Be able to make sure sounds good, mortgage is good, and never like backtrack. So if we hit that $5,000.
And now I'm reassociating again, tying this is what's possible to your current situation. I'm going to move on from this to this point here, 33:55, because we banter a little bit around here. I have fun with my calls. So I sometimes go a little longer than they need to. So 33:55, after giving her the what and why, she asks how, which is going to be your cue to move into the sales presentation because you've effectively hooked interest, but haven't given them the impression that they could go out and try this on their own. Now, with a typical call where someone's like experienced content, conversion assets, and they've, applied, like they filled out an application and they're coming to the call like, hey, I need these things, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't make as much sense to go into this like strategic coaching. However, if you're offering implementation calls on the back end of a masterclass, or if that's how you're offering to get someone on a call, for example, hey, I've got some thoughts that might be supportive for you. It's a bit much to type out here though. Would it make sense if we set aside a little bit of time, maybe tomorrow or the next day, where I could walk you through some actionable strategies that are working for our clients right now? Then you want to have a small component of it. And this is a good call that's an example of what that looks like, because she is brand new to us via referral. She hasn't experienced shit in terms of conversion assets. So I need to do a little bit more legwork on the front end to quantify the value of actually working with us.
They suck at writing, or they're just unwilling to develop
Yes.
skill.
Yeah.
To be honest, because it's foundation marketing. So if you understand how to structure your marketing strategy and you already have that skill set, you could be someone that blows up much quicker.
Okay. Okay. So what does your company do for people like me? Like, you giving me an idea and a structure, and that's awesome. So what do we do from here?
Well, I mean, we make it.
So I'm like, well, we make it simple, right?
We make it simple.
Okay,
Just to be a straight shooter. I guess I'm curious before we dive in, because I'm happy to walk you through step by step what it typically looks like with the people that we work with.
Yep.
But before we do, is there anything that you feel like we've missed that I would need to know in order to give you proper guidance?
So this is an attempted transfer of trust, but it doesn't quite land. And so you'll see that I go back for it again.
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to look at, I think I gave you my Instagram. I think you have.
I did. You've got a few thousand followers.
Yeah, it's been slow growing, but yeah, I got that. Do I need to do anything differently? Will I need to do something different there? And would you be giving me advice on what to do with social media? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're maybe not as familiar with our company because you came straight from Chad being hey, you got to check these guys out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I saw the video. I saw that much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a nutshell, just top down look, our bread and butter is organic lead gen for high ticket online.
So this is where, because she's asking the questions, I just give her a super basic, simple overview. Hey, what we do, bread and butter, lead gen. But is there anything else you think I need to know in order to give you proper guidance? Comes at 37.
Businesses.
So,
and we specifically work with fitness coaches. That's what everything's been developed around. So in terms of the content and stuff, the one thing that we can't do is make you post.
Right.
We can make it dead simple with the right frameworks to be able to communicate your offer effectively. And I think I even saw kind of in the form, you don't feel maybe your message is translating from your brain to the words and then the brain on the other side. That's what we're really good at. You might have seen in some of the content, pre-sold leads. Yes, we've got fantastic sales processes and stuff to make things really simple. But the best case scenario is that people are reaching out to you because they've experienced your message and your content in a way where they're I don't even care what it costs. I have to work with her.
Yeah.
So we do that. The sales processes, the delivery systems, the back end billing agreements, all that stuff. It's basically, if hypothetically you worked with us in the program called High Impact Coach, it would be A to Z. What does it take to build a full-time online business around your own lifestyle goals? Not making you fit a mold of, what Patrick or Jenny or whatever else did, but just kind of we started doing here, developing your own kind of approach to make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just to make sure I've got kind of.
So now I go back for the transfer of trust again after I've solidified just briefly. And this is not the presentation, to be clear. I'm just, hey, this is basically what we do. Outcome, 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 not process.
Bookend on it. Is there anything that you don't feel like you've shared with me that maybe you would want to or need to, just so that I can fully understand your situation? You think we covered it?
No, I think I gave you everything. Definitely a good snapshot of where I am right now.
Cool. Okay.
So there's an actual transfer of trust. Nope. I think we covered it.
So, in that case, I can kind of walk you through what it would look like in High Impact Coach for you specifically. Okay. Basically, some of the main points.
So here's where I begin the presentation. Notice it is still pain, solution, outcome, right? Tie down. It might look a little different than how you're thinking in your mind after seeing the formulaic process, but pay attention because you'll see it. The first point is at 3743. I'm talking about group coaching calls. The second point is the online learning portal or the course area. The third point is the one-on-one support calls.
Points, that I know that you brought up is I really want to be able to create this stability and the consistency of income. Yep. So, I mean, I understand you've gone through a lot of layoffs and crazy things, and that I don't want to see that happen to you again. So what's really important, in my opinion, would be creating that stable structure, right? Where you have an ascension and it becomes really easy to bring people into the front end, serve them powerfully. And if they want to move up with you, you can. So that's going to require a few things, good marketing, sales, and fulfillment systems. Yep. And so we actually have Monday through Thursday. Each of those days is broken up for a different coaching call: mindset, sales, general marketing, fulfillment, all that stuff. So basically what that means for you is throughout the week, there's no guesswork. We're always there as a coaching staff to make sure that you have clear next action steps for the point in your business to actually focus on. Because I don't want you, for example, doing what a lot of people do is, I want to be here and do this and do that and do this. And so they're putting out a lot of effort, but not moving forward. So ultimately what those calls will mean for you is just clear, actionable direction for specifically what Stacy gets to do next. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay.
So notice, again, I'm bringing up, because I don't want this to happen to you, and this is something that you noticed as a concern. Here's basically what it looks like, yada, yada, yada. But this is ultimately what it means for you, because I don't want you doing this. This is big picture, what it means for you. So that in order to, which means ultimately, which will allow you to. It's the benefit stacking. Oops, don't want to go full screen. Sorry about that.
Also know that when you're shifting kind of from this group model,
this is point 2,
to one-on-one, or when you're doing in-person to online, there's a lot of little things that have to come into play in order for it to get easy. So we have the whole process laid out in what we call blueprints, which is an A to Z online learning portal that you can hop into step by step and build out the pieces of the business on your own time. So wherever it fits into your, right now, pretty busy schedule, so we can start scaling back your time. Okay. Basically just remove the guesswork, so you've got a clear action step each day. Do you need any clarity on that, or does that make sense too?
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
And like the last thing, I mean, I know that it's tough at times to kind of find the balance of like, I'm learning this content myself and I'm trying to apply it. And then maybe a group call where you get some clarity on one thing, but oh shoot, totally forgot. Or maybe there's something that you don't really feel comfortable sharing in an environment. We also have unlimited one-on-one support calls with the head coach, Matthew.
Okay.
So basically what that means is whether it's twice a week, once a week, or once every couple of weeks, you've always got him that you can book private one-on-ones with to make sure you're fully supported. And there's never any, you know, oh shit, fell off for a week and now I got to get my momentum back up. You can kind of think about the program as a whole as bumpers when you're bowling. You know, if you had the option, right, of like, I've got gutters open or I've got bumpers up. Either way, the pin count is going to be the same score. I would rather bowl with bumpers because that way it's just up to me to throw the ball and I'm going to hit something. That's basically what we do.
Okay.
Cool. Now I finished my basic presentation. There's a lot of other components I could have talked about, but I'm not because I want to keep it super simple, only geared around what she has voiced that she wants. And now I leave space for concerns to come up so I can handle them prior to getting into the logistical conversation, finances. She brings up what could be classified as an uncertainty objection. And watch me go through this process of self-identification and anchoring to what she's already aware of with a push-up example for fitness. This gets her to identify with, I just need direction after I challenge her, hey, be honest with me.
Okay. What, I've seen some of your success stories. What does it look like when someone doesn't hit their goal? Is it because of something they're not doing on their end?
There's a few things.
You don't ask that question unless you're uncertain about potentially being able to get results, right? It's an uncertainty objection. So this is how I move through it.
Okay.
Number one, just not doing anything. Honestly, it's the same thing that you've probably experienced with personal training clients where you're like, here's exactly how you should eat. And here's when you work out. And they go, you know what, Stacey, I just didn't work out this week.
Yeah.
And you go, okay. So are you surprised that the scale didn't move?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's one big thing. But then the other thing that it can be tougher for people to wrap their head around. You know, have you ever worked in like a call center or like as part of a sales team?
Mm-hmm.
No.
There's this interesting, because I run sales teams and stuff.
Okay.
That's the main thing that I do is, you know, help people win in that way. And time and time again, people with the same scripts, with the same leads, working the same hours will have dramatically different sales numbers. And the reason for that is because what I like to say, it's not what you say every time, it's how you say it. It's from the energy from which it comes. And so when I say there's two things, either just not doing it, there's the opposite side to the coin of people who will do so much, but miss the inner work. And so they might be saying the same thing coming from a misaligned energy, taking all these actions, but it doesn't work out. Or they have this fear of failure or fear of success that they're just not willing to work on.
Yeah. That's
a huge reason why we have the one-on-one calls. And Matthew is actually a trained therapist. And on Monday, the group mindset calls, it's with Reggie, who's incredible with actually being able to break through some of these things so that the business flows easier. I can't make you show up to him though.
Yeah.
Right. If you do, I know things change in a big way, but those are the two things that really trip people up. The third, the final one, it's smaller, it happens a lot less, but it still happens, is impatience. You know, there's this concept, universal law, or it's a biblical principle, depending on how you want to think about things, that it's seed, time, and then harvest. And it's not everyone. I don't think this is you, but I just want to be fully transparent and share with you, you know, the different pathways to not succeed so that you can avoid those pitfalls. You know, there's not that like, hey, I did one push-up. Why am I not ripped?
Right.
I put up one post where the leads frustrated. All of a sudden now they're not in the right energy to actually be creating, they're reacting. And so remembering that, you know, for someone like you, I have the thought that it could be a month before you've like completely shifted your situation. It could also be 3.
Yeah.
Right. And the only way that it ends up working is if you come from the right place as you're going through it and being patient with yourself.
Okay.
Because it will work. Seeds always sprout if you give them enough time and water and the proper soil. But some happen a little faster than others. Some people are like, you know, a dandelion that seems to sprout up as soon as there's wind and it blows a seed in the dirt. And some people are like bamboo where it takes years for anything to happen. Then all of a sudden overnight on your 10, you got 10 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see yourself being in any one of those camps? Be honest with me.
No, because I tell you what I lack is direction. I have the drive, I have the energy. I struggle with social media, but I am willing to, you know, if directed with the messaging that I know I need to put out, I think that will help me with social media anyway. It's like, oh, I need to be saying these kinds of things on a regular basis and speaking to my audience.
Yeah. So I got a call at the top of the hour. So I'm going to hit one last thing real quick, or two of them. So I ask, why is this the right fit for you?
It's fair. It's fair.
Do you have any other questions for me about the process specifically? Because I know I kind of went through it quick, and there are other things that we do to make it simple, but I don't want to overwhelm you with, you know, our shiny shit. The whole reason we're here is to make it simple for you.
Yeah. I don't. I know there's a fee attached to all that you do, and I don't know if I had access to that on that link, or if we're ready to talk about that at all. But I know it was one of the questions on the form that I filled out. Yeah. But I like what I'm hearing so far, and it sounds like what I need to grow.
Okay. Do you mind me asking what specifically makes you feel like that might even be a fit for you?
Why this will be a fit for me?
Yeah. I mean, you said that it sounds like this might work for me. I guess just so I can better understand. Like,
again, the guidance. I'm hearing you talking about coaching calls, coaching period is what I need. And so I already know that I'm willing to show up and learn as much as I can and absorb as much as I can to get.
So she goes into quantify, and then here, last point.
And invest and make the effort. Not be the person who's going to do one push-up and expect, you know, to get ripped.
You promise? With enough push-ups, it'll work, but not just one. Okay.
See, she even brings up the example that I gave her because it landed.
No, I'm sitting here, you keep flexing that little bicep vein at me. I'm like, shit, put those away. Okay. Well, if that's the case, you know, and what you say is true and we can count on you to show up, I don't have any doubt that you'd be able to crush it.
Okay.
Honestly, you're exactly the kind of person that we look to work with because, like I said, we can't do it for you, but we can make it dead simple to where your only job is to show up and care about the people that you're looking to work with, and they'll come.
Yeah.
So
So this is me anchoring it in. Hey, as long as we can, and notice the tonality. Listen back to the call at normal speed, like the regular one, and you'll see. Listen, as long as we can count on you to show up, there is quite literally no reason why you could possibly fail. And that's infusing certainty right at the end before we go into the pricing.
Here's the really fun part, the big scary, oh my God, pit in my stomach, I don't know if I can afford that moment.
Yeah.
So listen back to the call. Hopefully this is helpful, giving a little spot check so you can see some of the components of the framework in practical application, because it doesn't always look perfectly like the script, but that's why we don't script things out, because every conversation has nuance. So follow the framework and go crush it.